The Interrobang podcast is brought to you by Simply Financial. Flex on your ex-bank with up to $700 from Simply Financial. Visit simply.com today. Conditions apply.
Hello and welcome to the Red Couch Podcast. I am your host, Ben Harrietha. This week on the podcast, it's another edition of Reporter Rants. This issue is our FSU elections issue. So to discuss some of the stories and the work that went into putting this issue together, I have Interrobang reporter Kate Otterbein here with me. Hello, Kate.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm good. Just got back from a walk in the cold, feeling fresh.
Oh, sweet. That's just like my every day. We're recording this in the evening. We usually record this in the mornings. So I was in the office today and then I headed home and I have like a 15-minute walk after a 30-minute bus ride.
Wait, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Because it's just the way the buses run. It's essentially like I can take the 20 or the 4 from Fanshawe to like downtown. And then I can either like usually wait 10 minutes or walk 13 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I wait 10 minutes, then I can catch the 7 and that cuts my walk down to a 5-minute walk. But I'm like, it's not really worth it. So I just usually walk like the 15, 20 minutes.
That's awesome. You get your exercise in every single day then.
That's true. It's a good amount of cardio because it's like, yeah, I walk everywhere basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that might change. I might be getting a car. So that's fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It drastically cuts down your cardio. I can tell you that much.
Definitely. Well, luckily I go to the gym like 5 days a week. Should be fine there.
Yeah.
But so that should be fun. It all depends on how if the government is niceys to me with the tax return. So we'll fingers crossed there. We'll see. So what do you got coming up in this next issue?
So I think I have like 3 different articles here. No, 2. 3.
I think it's 3.
It is 3.
It is 3.
I've been working on so much this week because I'm also simultaneously working on things that we moved to next, the next issue. So I feel like I'm just constantly, trying to remember what I've been doing. But I have 3 in the next issue. So I have the dinner series, which was about a dinner series that's held by the flight services students to kind of give them more hospitality experience in their curriculum. An Outer Banks season 3 review, which was my very first review I've ever written, but
welcome to the club.
Thank you. And then the third one was a gender-based violence mapping system that the school helped kind of fund and get into place where people can anonymously report their sexual gender-based violence instances where they can pinpoint exactly where in the city they happened and anonymously tell their story.
Perfect. And we'll get back to that in a moment. I do just want to I forgot to mention this at the beginning. The FSU, obviously it's the FSU elections, so the new FSU president has been elected. So congratulations, Stefan Sathya, for winning that election, and congratulations to everyone else who got directed to the board of directors and all the other positions that I'm not quite sure about. Well, there's a lot of positions. It'll all be in the new issue of Interrobang, which pick it up on newsstands now. But congratulations, everyone. It was apparently this was like the best election they've seen, like in terms of voter turnout and how many people were running.
That's awesome. I know it's always been kind of a discussion in the past of like, nobody kind of shows up to vote. And I understand that maybe some students think it's not important, or as important, I guess I should say, as like an actual election. But I mean, it's just as important because you get to voice your opinion within the school, right? And you can make change within the community that you're going to every single day. It doesn't necessarily have to be, the entire city of London that you can make change.
No, exactly. And it's just because it's your school and it's the student union, doesn't mean it's not important. Like
Exactly.
it's a lot of the student union. Like the student union is in charge of a lot more stuff than I think people think. Like I think people think the student union is just like events and like food, but like they also handle like bus passes, parking.
Your
Um,
insurance for like your benefit plan
yeah,
and things too.
yeah, no, exactly. They do a whole bunch of stuff.
To be fair, I don't think I actually realized that either until I actually started working for the FSU.
Neither did
So
I.
I guess it's just one of those things that you just don't really think of. You just kind of assume that Fanshawe as a whole helps with them, but no, the FSU does a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only thing they don't handle is like tuition, and even then, I think they handle like a lot of like the if you need help with tuition. I think that
Yeah,
might
they
be
do
that.
have
I
the
think that might be student union.
yeah, they have a lot of financial advisors, which I believe is kind of, who you can talk to if you need advice for your situation.
So yeah, it's important to vote for who's in charge of your student union and who's your guys. For lack of a better word, it's been a long day. So back to your stories and everything. Did you have any issues putting your stories together this issue, or did it all kind of run smoothly?
Um, I would say for the most part, it ran smoothly once everything was booked. Um, it was kind of a matter of my schedule has gotten very crazy recently with starting a new internship position. So my days from 9 to 5 are strictly internship. So I've kind of had to work around things. But once we got a time set together, I think everything went smoothly. The hardest part was really just like figuring out how to write a review, which without completely spoiling everything for the Outer Banks season 3 review I did probably spoil a little bit and I put a spoiler warning, but when I first wrote like my first draft, I was like freshly after watching the show, I think I put way too much detail in.
Oh yeah, I mean sometimes reviews can end up almost feeling like story summaries, and like
Yeah.
you don't want them to end up like that. Definitely.
No, yeah, it was I did a lot of revisions because I was like, I don't think this is exactly how it's supposed to go. And I kind of referenced a lot of reviews of other things just to kind of get the feel of it down. But I mean, I think it went pretty well for my first review, maybe.
No, it was really good. I mean, like I'm the review guy in the Interrobang office at the moment. I'm the one who does the reviews, but I'm glad that we also have TV reviews because I'm really bad at like keeping up with a show, and I just know things are like good. Basically, I can't like I find it really hard to put like what makes a TV show really good, because
I
it's
agree.
so long form.
Yeah. And I'm not, to be honest, it might come across as just like one big fangirl article. Because let's be real here, this show is my favorite show. This wasn't an overly critical review because I do know that I love it. But
Hmm.
to be fair, I don't know anyone who doesn't love that show. So
Yeah, it's and honestly, sometimes those are fun. It's more fun to just enjoy something, I think, than to be like super hypercritical of it. Some of the reviews I've done so far have just been me being like, this album rocks and you should listen to it. Like I like when I reviewed New Order, like it was literally just a 650 word article of me just being like, yeah, this album is so cool. Like just this is such a cool album. Please listen to it. It is it's very hard for me to be actually like critical of things, I think.
no,
Um
me too. I unless it's something that I really do not like with a passion, I don't really I just kind of gush over the parts that I like about most things because
yeah, if
just how I am.
something's if something's just kind of like mediocre, it's kind of like whatever. It's more fun to more critically and analyze stuff, I think. Like so for example, American Idiot by Green Day.
Oh, love
Um
that album.
really good album. I personally don't like super love it.
Oh my
But
goodness, we had this conversation, didn't we?
yes, we did. But it's mostly because I don't like they like use the political angle as almost like set dressing for the album. And I think they could have done more with that, if that makes sense. And I think it could have been really, really like strong and like really, I don't want to say poignant. Poignant's not the right word, but it could have hit really hard. I think if they kind of leaned more into the political aspect of some of the songs. But they don't. And I think that's a little lame, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the album is really good.
That's fair. And I think that album has a soft spot in my heart. That was like, peak high school that I got more into that album. Obviously, that album is a lot older than I was in high school.
2004.
Like 2004. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was 3 when that came out.
Yeah.
But it does have such a soft spot in my heart because of, it reminds me of the late elementary school days, middle school, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and I think actually we did a Green Day song for a grade 8 graduation too, so it's just kind of all encompassed.
That's I mean, it's a classic for a reason. It is a genuinely really good album. It's more just like my issues with it are me being like a weird. I like thematic things on my album, and it's like, man, it would have hit if they had just pushed the political bit like just a little harder, just a little bit. But it's still good. So you wrote a story about the Map My Experience website.
Yes.
You ended up actually kind of writing sister pieces in a way.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because I wrote something about the Speak Out app, which
yes.
is also
okay.
a collaboration with Safe Cities. It's another. So what Speak Out is, for people who either haven't read the article yet or don't know what it is, it is a anonymous sexual violence reporting tool run by the London Police. It was created by the Barrie Police a year ago, and it was effective in Barrie. And so now they're rolling it out in London on a 1-year trial run. And so it's available in Barrie and London. And essentially what it is, it's completely anonymous. It's not an official police report. But you do get a reference number in case you do want to make a police report later, so that you can then use the information that you submitted on the Speak Out app to make the investigation easier when/if it comes to that. So yeah, it was really interesting because we both ended up talking to Leah Marshall, who always great.
I love Leah. She's so sweet.
She's just so nice. She's like, first off, perfect for the position she's in. And then like every time I talk to Leah, it's like she's like so excited to talk to us. It's like, it's great. I love talking to Leah. She's
you
so
can really
nice.
tell that she's passionate about it.
No, yeah, exactly. It's and she, like I said, she's just the perfect person for the position that she's in. And she always has like something interesting to say, I think, about not just stuff pertaining to her role, but just really any issue, period. And like I've talked to her about things that don't pertain to sexual violence, and she still is like a really like more like just women's rights issues on the whole, and she's still like can give like a really good insight on that stuff as well. So
yeah, she is so insightful.
Yeah, no, she's great. What was your experience writing the piece on, the Safe Cities and the Map My Experience app? Like, how did that go?
It was a lot of fun for me. So to be honest, when I was kind of given the assignment, we didn't know much about it at all. We were told that there is this map that you can like pinpoint in the city where you have experienced sexual violence, gender-based violence, anything in that realm. So I kind of went to Leah and I was like, hey, can you talk about this? And upon the start of the the interview, I was like, so let's be real here. I don't know much about this. So it was really it was a lot of fun for me because normally when you're going into an interview and working on an article, you know a lot more going into it, but it's kind of just like gave me that moment to learn alongside someone, if that makes sense. And it kind of I don't know, it was a lot of fun, and I like that I got to learn a little bit more about it. And it's such a great website for people to use to continue to heal, because one of the things Leah said that is for those people who don't feel comfortable making a formal police report because they have had bad experiences in the past, or they, whatever the case is, why they don't want to report it. This is still a very great healing tool for them to share their stories and get them out there, because it's one of those things that it's hard to come to terms with this kind of thing when it happens. But once you come around to it, I feel a lot of people are passionate about wanting to make a change, whether they want to identify themselves or not. This is a great way for them to do so.
I think my favorite part about the map, my experience app, is that it's not only an avenue for these people to tell their stories, but it's also a community tool as well.
Of course.
That's like a part that I think is like really kick ass about it, is that people can open up the app and see where in London is like a hot spot, basically. And
yeah, where are the problem areas?
Yeah, exactly. Where are the problem areas? Because not only does this teach, the individual, okay, maybe I should avoid that spot of London, which, while it is unfortunate that we have to even have an app to do that, it's nice that we do have it. It also allows organizations to then look at it and be like, okay, well, these are our problem spots. How do we fix this?
Yes. And that's something too, that when a person goes on to share their experience, they are actually asked that is, how do you think you would feel safer? What could be changed about this? Things like that, to try and make a difference in that area. And they do it, like, of course they do it in a way that the survivor knows it's never their fault. But it is, I think this is going to bring great change to the city to, open people's eyes. And with that, in collaboration with the Speak Out app, I think London is making great headway in making London safer.
Yeah. And I think the Speak Out app, unfortunately, I think it has like two shortcomings. Like, obviously, the more tools that sexual violence survivors have, the better. Like, it's never going to be a bad thing to give people more options after they've experienced some form of sexual violence. But unfortunately, I find the Speak Out app, because it's like a police thing, obviously it does funnel you into making that police report, which, as we all know, sometimes the police aren't the best when it comes to certain groups of people. And you also have to be over the age of 18 to use it.
Yeah, that's the part I wasn't necessarily a fan of. I'm assuming that's because of can you make a police report if you're under 18?
I don't know, actually. I've never had to make a police report.
I haven't either, which is why I asked. But if that's the case, then yeah, it just puts a target on them to be like, so you're over 18, you're able to make a police report, you are only allowed to use this app. And you're right, it will, for some people, most people probably feel like they have to make a police report afterwards, because sexual assault, gender-based violence, all of that stuff still happens to people well under the age of 18. That is no secret.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous to me that it's because it's not an official police report. It's just you're submitting information, and it just kind of baffles me that it's not open to people under the age of 18. Because, as we all know, famously, people under the age of 18 don't experience sexual violence, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
not a chance.
Not a chance. Not at all. So it just boggles the mind that it's like, yeah, we have this anonymous great reporting tool. You have to be 18 to use it. And it's
Yeah,
like it's just like, okay, well, that's like an entire, like, that's 18, that's an entire group of people that aren't able to use your tool. Like, I saw a poll on Twitter the other day basically asking people their experiences with like sexual violence and like a series of threats. Do you know, like, they, like, one of the tweets was like, how old were you when you first got catcalled? And the options were under 12 and over 12, and the answers were 50-50.
that is so disgusting.
Well, it's gross, but it's showing that it's like, yeah, okay, I get it, because it's kind of technically official police stuff. You can't have a young kid doing it, but just give another option then. You
Yeah.
know, have a guardian, like, or something like that. I don't
But
know.
then that also brings up, I mean, because I was thinking that myself, like a parent, a guardian could do it. But then there's also those kids that, what about those kids that are out on the streets and they don't necessarily have a guardian that they're able to go to for help too?
Yeah, and
And that creates a whole other issue.
yeah, it's just an unfortunate spot where this otherwise really good tool kind of falls, I think, in comparison to Map My Experience. Now, the only problem with Map My Experience is obviously that if you do end up wanting to pursue that police report, I don't think you can use the Map My Experience stuff in that. You might be able to, but
Yeah,
it,
I'm not 100% sure on that either, but I don't think so.
it's so new at this point that we haven't seen anyone use it, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously going forward, that might change, but at this moment in time, Map My Experience, you can't use it if you want to use it in a police report, and the Speak Out app, you have to be over the age of 18, which is, I really think those are like both these apps' shortcomings.
And we are still in the early stage of both of these things, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
Barrie Police has used this app and created this app, and it works for them. But maybe because we are in the starting stages of both Speak Out and Map My Experience, maybe they'll, kind of come together one day and work together, because that would be really nice if they could lift that 18 plus
Yeah,
rule.
that is the hope. And I mean, the other thing too is that it's only accessible by the police. The Speak Out app, like, there's no community tool like Map My Experience.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, I understand it. It's because, sometimes there's some confidential information in there, but it's like, it's also like completely anonymous. So like, it could have like a Map My Experience style pin map in there, or like, just a way to share your story on the app. I don't know.
For
It's
sure. And I think it'd be beneficial if it did have kind of, the Map My Experience community in there.
I definitely think like a merging of these two tools is probably like, would be the best case scenario here, where it's
Absolutely.
essentially, what it is that it's not an official police report until you actually want to go into a police report, and then it also allows community members to see sexual violence hotspots throughout the city. Moving on from that, you, as we were talking about earlier, you wrote a super long piece on the Outer Banks, like 850 words, I believe, when I checked.
It was what?
850 words, I think, was the.
It was well over 1,000, my first draft. I was
really
like my fingers were about to fall off my hands. I was typing with like fresh tears in my eyes, not to try to give any spoilers, but the ending. Oh my God, the ending.
I get the vibe that you want to gush about it.
Yeah.
And I've unfortunately never seen it. I've done a quick Wikipedia skim though.
No, you need to watch it. Like, I swear to God, you will probably binge all 3 seasons in like a week flat. I guarantee it.
I've heard good things. So I might end up watching it. So
I think you should.
Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So this series, I'll talk about the series as a whole. I have loved it since it first came out in like 2020 or 2019. No, 2020, I think, is when it first came out. Whatever the date was, doesn't matter. And it is, like I said in the article, it's like an Indiana Jones meets teen group kind of thing. Like, these kids are on a treasure hunt. And every single episode, I kid you not, is so exciting. There is something happening in every single episode that it is not like a sit back and relax and like play a video game or like a game on your phone type thing. You need to pay attention because it moves that quickly, but it's not the type of show that you get bored with, you know? Yeah, so it's like these kids that are a mix of the Pogues and the Kooks, which the Kooks are like the rich kids on the island, the Pogues are like the, you know, lower class, and the lower class kids in this friend group are what kind of initiate this because the main character's dad, John B, John B's the main character, his dad started this treasure hunt, and then together they try to finish it, and it carries on throughout the seasons. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. And season 3 has a huge plot twist. I encourage everybody to watch it.
You seem very excited about it.
I
It,
am.
it looks right up my alley, honestly, because like I do I do like shows that are like exciting, and that's such a stupid way to say that. I like shows that are exciting.
No, but it's
But
like
like
it's different than like your regular like sitcom or
it's like a
something.
thrill ride, you know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
My
Like
heart was pumping.
some of my favorite games are the Uncharted games, which seem to have the same kind of vibe.
Yes, my dad
Um,
loves the Uncharted games.
yeah, yeah. Like so it's that same kind of treasure hunting, exciting, nonstop stuff. And plus I've actually been to the Outer Banks before.
Wait, it's a
So
place? What? I need
yeah,
to go. Where
yeah.
is it?
It's in North Carolina. If you look on a map of the state of North Carolina, there's the mainland North Carolina, and then there's like a strip of land off the coast. That's the Outer Banks.
That makes sense because they use boats to get everywhere.
Yep. And
Wow, this is
it is a
crazy.
beautiful part of North America because
I
it's
am so not into geography that I just thought this was a made up place. So this is
no, it's
exciting
real.
'cause I would like to go to the outer.
It's real as hell because it's super wild because it's like because of where North Carolina is situated, it's like in the summer, it's like the perfect temperature. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It doesn't, well, it rains there a lot. And when it rains, it rains. But
That
all
shows
the,
in at least one of the episodes.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. All the houses there are like storm houses. So they're like really hardcore. But it's a beautiful, beautiful place that unfortunately gets hammered by hurricanes. So
Yes, that was also part of it too at one point.
yeah.
It makes me sad though because if you're gonna watch Outer Banks, you completely just like read my spoiler article.
Oh, I mean, I'll either forget, and I also don't really care about spoilers.
You
I'm
don't
not,
care. Oh my gosh, they
nah.
make me so mad.
I'm like, I don't know, in the modern day and age, spoilers are just like they're just gonna happen. Like I'm just gonna come across them. So
That's fair.
if the story is still good, like I'm not like learning that X character dies is not gonna exactly ruin the whole thing for me.
True.
So
So we're gonna become Outer Banks pen pals if you watch it and you're gonna, like update me on everything, and we're gonna start like an Outer Banks like TV club, like book club, but we'll talk about the TV show.
of course. Yeah, we'll do that for sure. Well, that'll be the second podcast we start. Is our Outer Banks book club.
That would be so fun. Like I'm not even kidding.
For sure. Well, I'll put it in the works. All right. So before we wrap up, our Zoom's starting to give us the boot here. But I Justin did this last reporter length, and I really liked it. It was like a lightning round question thing.
Oh, fun.
So just say the first thing that comes to mind. Don't try to think about it too much.
Okay.
Because
Every
obviously
answer
we
will
got to be
be
quick.
okay.
So favorite food:
Tacos.
sweet, savory, or salty.
Salty.
New music you're listening to right now.
Oh, new friends. Kind of not new, but a little new.
Favorite band of all time.
5 Sauce. 5 Seconds of Summer.
Do you dance?
I try.
Mountains or beaches?
I think mountains.
Do you cook?
I try.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Tacos.
Coffee or tea?
Neither, but iced coffee.
$1,000. What are you buying?
Probably paying off my car.
What's the silliest thing you own?
Oh, a giant squishmallow.
How big? How giant is giant?
Like really big. Like I think it's 50 something inches tall.
Whoa!
No, I have 2 of them. Yeah, they're amazing.
That's only like, because I'm 5'9". That's only like 20 inches shorter than I am.
Okay, maybe it's 50 centimeters then.
50 inches sounds like a lot. I was gonna say that. I'm like, you got a 4 foot tall.
I wish. Maybe put
great.
together they would be.
Maybe they'll start making those. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
And finally, your favorite story that you've written for the Interrobang.
Oh, my new friend's story.
Perfect. So that wraps it up. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
That was so fun. I love that.
Yeah, no, the lightning round, it's so good. Justin did it last time, and I was like, I'm gonna do that now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just gonna do it for Reporter Rants either. I'm gonna do it for like video podcasts going forward, because I think it's like really fun, that kind of set of questions that he gave.
Yeah, that's such a lighthearted way to end it, especially like I don't know if there's ever like heavy issues or topics that
yeah. Sometimes it's hard to kind of do the chipper podcast outro after like a heavy episode.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of outro, thank you for coming on the podcast, Kate.
Thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And thank you for listening to another episode of the Red Couch Podcast. As always, you can catch up with every episode on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. Pick up your copy of Interrobang on newsstands now. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And be sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep up with all things Fanshawe. For the Interrobang, I'm Ben Harrietha.
The Interrobang podcast is brought to you by Simply Financial. Flex on your ex-bank with up to $700 from Simply Financial. Visit simply.com today. Conditions apply.